Good evening, everybody. Uh, Today I'm gonna do a very simple uh, keyframe animation with this turkey. I'm gonna bring him into After Effects, and I'm gonna have a simple motion of the legs and maybe the hat. So you should already have everything that is gonna be animated separated in different layers. Um, you can do this as a last step after you finish your design, but essentially this layer, the hat, is going to be animated. You can prototype your animations by clicking on the object and seeing if you can move it in the way that you would want to animate it as well. So I could like make the legs go up and down, or I could also make rotate them a little bit, and I could have the whole body go up and down, as well as the hat up and down. So it's gonna be a very simple South Park-ish type of keyframe animation that should work for your animation project. So um, you just need to save this as a regular Illustrator file. So I'm going to say save as, and I'm going to go to my walk cycle. I'm going to call this one Turkey. Save it normally, except that each of the elements that you want to animate will be on a layer. Now I'm going to go open After Effects, and this is from our last tutorial, and I'm going to simply import a file. Okay, so I'm going to import the Turkey file, and I'm going to import it as composition retain layer sizes. Okay, you can also do just composition. Layer sizes will adapt to the size of the graphic for each of the layers. Open, and right here we have our Turkey comp, or composition, short for composition. Cool. Double click on Turkey, and there it is, your composition. And based on your default settings, I have my work area to be here under composition settings. I can see how big my turkey composition is. Right here the duration is 2 seconds, which is perfect for a walk cycle. I really don't need anything else. For now I'm not gonna worry about the size of the composition either. Frame rate 15 frames per second. Okay, I can change those settings later. Okay, now here you can see that you have all your layers visible, so you can hide or show each of the different elements that you want to animate. And the first thing that we're going to do, as you can see here, this is when you say retain layer sizes, your graphic will adapt to the size of the asset will be the same as the graphic. So if I had not said retain layer size, this would have been the whole size of this frame, which you can still animate, but it's not, it's just confusing. It's just easier if you can select this object here. My first animation is going to be the leg. I'm just going to animate this leg, and it's just going to be a rotation. So I'm going to zoom this in a little bit to 200%. I can also scroll in and out. And with the space bar, I can also select the part of my composition that I want to visualize closer. And then I'm going to press Y, the Y key. And then this center, this is going to be the anchor point for the rotation. Okay. So what happened? Right here on the front leg, if I look here on my timeline and the layer front leg under transform, I have moved the anchor point. You can do this, you can certainly do this by modifying the X and Y values of that anchor point, but it's extremely easier to press Y and just simply drag to the point of rotation. So now when I hit the rotation value, you'll notice that the leg is going to be rotating on the correct axis. So this already looks like the turkey is skating. So maybe this is this motion is going to work out pretty nicely. I didn't have much expectations from this, but sometimes animation can be a great surprise. Okay, so that's going to be my frame 1. And to keep your animation loopable, your first frame and your last frame will be the same. I'm going to click on this timer icon. The timer will set up an animation cycle that will record all the keyframes. So once I have clicked this, you'll notice this diamond shape, and then you have the diamond shape also represented on this timeline. I go to my first frame, drag it all the way to your last frame, click on the diamond again. So that means that the rotation will be exactly the same for first and last frame. Now I'm going to go to the middle frame, and then I'm going to click diamond to the keyframe. Now I'm going to rotate it the other way to suggest that it has rotated. And After Effects will interpolate all the frames. Okay, so once we're on this keyframe here, we're going to type in the amount of rotation that we want. Save that. Now click play. Now we have our leg moving up, left and right. So it looks terrible right now. Let's start improving this. First off, my frame rate, it's pretty slow. Let's see how it looks at 20 frames per second. Now, that whole motion takes 2 seconds. I'm actually going to slow down by putting my keyframes closer. I want to make my work area shorter. Now that's a lot more fast. Okay. Cool. So that's the rotation of one leg. Now I'm going to do the back leg. I'm going to do the same process for back leg. I can just click on it, press Y for changing the rotation point, drag it, and I'm going to choose my first rotation keyframe. Go to the last frame, rotation right there, and then to the middle one, another keyframe. Now right there. Let's see how that looks. Okay. Yeah, so now pretty simple. We're going to take this body, go up and down, body, transform. We're gonna take um, position, start the timer for the keyframe, put it on the frame 1, start that timer, go to the last frame, do another keyframe so it's the same, they're matching, and then click on this keyframe, and now you can change the position on the XY, like you can do it numerically by dragging here or typing in numbers. So now it's gonna go up and down, up to there. Now let's take a look. So now it looks a lot more animated, and it starts to kind of like get a little bit of life. Again, like the more that you put into it, the better that it will look for sure. But this is just like a simple demo. And now the hat, and we'll also kind of like tweak around these keyframes and offset them, so not all the motions are happening at the same time to create an illusion of cause and effect. The hat, so I'm also going to change the position of the hat. So what's going to happen is that as I move forward, the turkey is kicking up, and then by this motion it's going to kick up the hat. So I'm going to start and do position, start there, it's going to end there at the same spot. So as it's kicking up, this is my keyframe here, I'm going to stand still, kicks up. By here it will be moving up. I'm just going to do it numerically because sometimes it's a little bit tricky to select. So right now you can see that the hat went up. So now let's see. Probably went up too high. So you can actually go back to that keyframe and tone it down so it doesn't go up so much. And I'm also going to add a rotation, so you can have multiple motions going on for the same layer. So I'm going to click on the timer for rotation, no rotation from there to there, no rotation here. But when it gets, I'm going to do 2 keyframes, so there's no rotation until it gets there. And I'm going to do another keyframe here. So the changes are just going to happen in between these two. So I'm going to do a third one. So when it's there, it will tip to the front, maybe slightly. Now it looks a little bit more bouncy, and of course I can continue improving this forever, but for an introduction of animation with keyframes, this will do. So we're pretty good and ready to render.